If a writer or an aspiring individual, be they an actor or director, primarily a writer, goes to a traditional production company and says, will you produce my work? The production company will say to them, yes, we'll buy your script, or we'll pay you to write a script because we like the idea. And at the point that they sign the check for the work, they own the project. The writer no longer owns the project. The writer may have a stake in the project. They have a right to get a few percentage points on the back end of the script if it gets produced and it's successful. But basically, they've handed over their baby to the production company. And as people are starting out in the industry, just as if they were starting out in the recording industry, they would accept that they probably have to do a few of these deals to get themselves set up, to get a reputation, in order to grow a profile which people are going to invest in. But as people progress and become more and more successful as writers, they become increasingly resentful of the fact that they write scripts from which and out of which people make a lot of money, or can make a lot of money, for which all they get is they just get a return on that script. They just get paid to write the script. More importantly, or possibly more importantly, they also don't have any rights over who's in it, who directs it, what the music looks like, how it's cut, where it's sold. So what we wanted to do was to set up a studio or a production company that, instead of saying to the writers, you are just assigning everything over to us, we would say to them, no, we can do a venture with you, whereby you retain 50% of what you have created, and we will effectively take on 50% of what you've created. But the deal is, you're part of the choice, you're part of the series of decisions about writing, about directing, about acting, about the edit, about the cut. And giving writers that degree of control over their own work was a little bit unusual. And I think a lot of companies would probably go, commercially that doesn't work because we don't make enough money out of it. And also, they don't necessarily like the assault on control. The fact that they might have to share control. They look at it and they go, well, that didn't work with David Cameron and Nick Clegg, did it? Look what happened there. But I think we recognise that we could do better than that, and that actually we could create something that actually, and I would hope The Fall is a really good example of this, because The Fall is a show that is written by Alan Cubitt, has been directed by Alan Cubitt, and effectively has been produced by Alan and myself as a partnership. And he's all over it. You know, he is completely instrumental in terms of all the key controls. But if I think he's got something wrong, I can say to him, Al, I don't think that's necessarily the best choice, or I don't necessarily think that that is the best edit. And because he shares the project both commercially and creatively, he has a vested interest in hearing me out, even if he ultimately thinks that he doesn't agree. You know, we can agree to disagree and move on. So it's an interesting arrangement, and I think that I just talked briefly about America, because America is a different machine and it operates in a different way. But at the top end of the tier, the J.J. Abrams, the Aaron Sorkins, the John Wells is producing West Wing and ER, and the big titans, Vince Gilligan, all these people who produce the great American dramas, ultimately work in that way. They may have deals with the studio, but the studios say to them, we're not going to tell you what to do. And they accept that. They accept that actually to get this great work, they have to be responsive and accountable to the artist. The trouble in America is that you have to be right up there, kind of at the absolute top end, at the White House end of the power tree. And it's very, very hard to exert any control below that. In fact, zero control, really. And if you're one of those people who run those shows, you are the boss. And more or less, that's how it works.